I say that's the main differentiator between leaders and thought leaders, is that you can codify what you know in a way that others can pick it up and carry it forward. And that to me is what coaches should be doing too. Do you have a methodology? Do you have an approach or a system or a point of view or a perspective that others can pick up and learn from and have that kind of transformation that you, instead of just talking about it, how can you codify the transformation that you're helping your clients do and put that out there in the world? Get out there and talk about it, write your book, whatever it might be, do some YouTube videos, but that's the differentiator right there. And that it takes work and you might need some help, but that is going to transform your business.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets, the podcast where we talk with successful career coaches on how they built their success and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Nguyen, and I'm the founder of Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, and even $100,000 weeks. Before Purple Circle, I've grown several 7- and 8-figure career coaching businesses myself, and have been a consultant at 2 career coaching businesses that are doing over $100 million each. Whether you're an established coach or building your practice for the first time, you'll discover the secrets to elevating your coaching business.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Career Coaching Secrets podcast. I'm your host, Rexhen, and today's guest is Denise Brosseau, the CEO of Thought Leadership Lab, a best-selling author of Ready to Be a Thought Leader, and former Stanford Business School lecturer on thought leadership. With over 2 decades of experience building leaders into trusted thought leaders, helps senior executives, entrepreneurs, and organizations amplify their ideas, gain influence, and shift from success to lasting significance. She's also a recognized catalyst for change. She's been honored as a champion of change by the White House and named one of the top 100 women of influence in Silicon Valley. And it's a pleasure for me to have her on the podcast today. Welcome to the show, Denise. Thank you for coming, Denise. I wanted to ask you, when it comes to your beginnings, first of all, what inspired you to become a coach and then start your own coaching business?
So in the early part of my career, I started working in Silicon Valley in the tech industry and spent a number of years shipping software out the door in a variety of different roles, leading product, leading marketing, et cetera. In the middle part of my career, I had the honor to start several organizations working with women entrepreneurs and really had this wonderful bully pulpit to get the word out about this cause that I cared so deeply about, which was access to capital for women entrepreneurs. So once those two sort of big chunks of my career were over, I was really thinking about how can I put to work all this knowledge and wisdom, expertise that mattered to me. And it got triggered really by a series of conversations over about 6 months in Silicon Valley when a friend of mine and I, who were doing some work together, we kept getting calls from senior women leaders here in the Valley, people that had just really attained very high levels within major companies here. And they suddenly didn't have a job for whatever reason, right? The boss got a new role and they weren't taken with it, or the company got bought or merged or whatever. Just a lot of change happens every day. And these women suddenly went from thinking that everything was great and having these 20, 30-year careers to suddenly nothing. And they would call the two of us up and they would kind of, hey, can we pick your brain? I need a new career. And so just for fun, of course we'd say yes and we'd go and help them. And anyway, at the end of a few months, I'm like, this seems like some work that I should be doing, right? This was really calling me, that I, looking back at the work that I had done myself, I felt like a lot of what I learned when I was running my nonprofit about the importance of building influence and building a voice and building a point of view in the marketplace. If these women had done any of that over their 20, 30-year career, they would be landing very simply into their next role. But because many of them had sort of put their head down, done their to-do list, done all the right things to keep getting internal promotions, but had literally no external profile, they were invisible. And thus, they were not going to land anything. And that really became kind of a driving force for me. I started calling myself an executive talent agent. So this idea was, hey, how come those people in Hollywood get to have a talent agent and the people here in Silicon Valley don't? So that was really how I initially positioned it. And it became successful kind of from the get-go because I was very well known in the Valley from having run these nonprofits, and I had a new twist on it. I really had I had some expertise that I could offer.
And right now it's been like 24 years with Thought Leadership Lab.
Let's not age me quite so much. It's only been 15, but yes, a long time.
Interesting. So 15, then throughout these 15 years of working with your clients and going through your coaching journey, what about it would you say you find most rewarding?
I think I'm a transformation junkie. I love that process of transformation. And whether it's sort of for the first time naming something that's been happening and being able to kind of examine it and make some change for yourself, or it's adopting new behaviors, new attitudes, new ideas about yourself or the world around you, and seeing people's careers transform. That's honestly what makes me the happiest. And when they pay it forward and send someone else to me, of course, that's nice too.
And when we think about your ideal client profile, if they're listening, and there might be some that are listening, if we were to clarify exactly who they are, how would you describe that ideal client profile? We talked about women, we talked about leaders, but how would you specify? Is there a specific, does the demographic expand a little bit more beyond that? Is there a specific industry, or would you say that there are some common goals or other commonalities that you see between them?
I think that many of the people who come my way are at an inflection point. They are understanding that the next step, they can't operate the way they always operated. So mostly I work with senior women leaders, a few men, but mostly senior women leaders, mostly in pretty complex industries, financial services, tech, healthcare, life sciences. Many of them are running institutions or big teams or divisions, departments, whatever. And kind of that book that Marshall Goldsmith wrote, like what got you here won't get you there. I think that they come to that point and they start to recognize that they've got a new goal, or what they have been doing isn't getting them to that next step the way they want. And that's often when they find me or get sent to me, because that's my sweet spot. What can you be doing to accelerate? And many of them come with big ideas. They've been doing really important work, but often they're now for the first time getting ready to speak up about it, to build a following around the ideas and the work that they've been doing.
And for and this question is mostly for the coaches and for that research that I mentioned earlier. What marketing channel do you find that is working very well for you right now?
It's shifted from me because I'm shifting my business. I'm sort of semi-retired now, but I have gotten, for many, many years, I've gotten my business in two ways. One of them is through speaking. I'm a professional speaker, and I do a lot of speaking to women's leadership programs, to women's organizations, to women's communities. So I've gotten a lot of my business that way. The second way is through developing. I used to write a lot of content, whether it was books, courses, LinkedIn content on a regular basis. I had a LinkedIn newsletter that I was pretty regular about. I have to say, I haven't done a whole lot of that in the last year, but a lot of my business continues to come because I've been doing this a long time. It comes from referrals.
So the majority is referrals. And now looking into the future for the next 1 to 3 years, how do you see your business? Do you have some specific goals you're working towards? I know you mentioned you're semi-retired. How do you see the future?
I want to keep doing the coaching piece. I'm not traveling for speaking as I used to. I'm not doing workshops and a lot of hands-on work unless it's for an existing client or in the Bay Area. So I'm doubling down instead on the coaching piece, which has always been a smaller part of my business as I became more of a speaker and a trainer and all the other things that I did. Because two things. One, I can do it from anywhere, which is always a plus. And second, I find that I can be so much more effective in a short amount of time than A, I could 15 years ago, but B, because the people who get sent to me or that find me are pretty close to my target market. Like I'm not bothering to work with people who are not, because as I said, I'm a transformation junkie. So I want to work with people that I know I can help, and I can do that in a 6-month engagement. That's my plan for the next couple of years. Maybe in 3 years I'll still be doing this. Maybe in 10 years I'll still be doing this. I don't know. You'll have to ask me then.
Cool. Throughout the years that the 15 years of doing the coaching part of it, what would you say have been some good investments that you've made over time that you feel very good about? You learned a lot or you feel like you've gotten good return from? So business-wise, what do you think have been some investments that you would have preferred to have avoided, if there's any?
Well, I'll tell it in sort of a funny way. I was invited a few months ago to an event that I used to teach at Stanford Business School with a guy who'd been teaching there for many years. My co-instructor is a now longtime friend, and he invited me to an event he put together with a bunch of coaches, pretty new coaches. And I was listening as they went around. There was about 12 people going around the table, and this one saying, "Oh, I really want to write a book. Oh, I really want to do a TEDx talk. Oh, I really want to do an online course." And I'm like, I did that. Oh, yeah, I did that. Oh, yeah, I did that too, right? Until that moment, honestly, it had never occurred to me that I actually did all the things that I needed to do, but because I wanted to do them. My way of setting goals has always been, up until now, was always like, what scares the heck out of me? I'm going to go do that. So whether it's getting to speak in this, big series at Stanford, or participate in this really prestigious program at Google, I would set those goals, the TEDx talk, the online course with LinkedIn. And each one of those brought in new opportunities, opened new doors, got me to different stages, and brought in money, which is not a bad thing. So I look back at all of this and think, yay, first of all, that all those doors did open, and that I got to do all these things. But secondly, that each one of them helped build this business. Like each of them was a building block. But I have to admit, it's also because my work is about thought leadership. Writing a book called Ready to Be a Thought Leader means that you also got to go out there and be a thought leader. You can't be, oh, you should all go do this, and then not do the work. So I also felt like I couldn't embarrass myself every year by not having something else that I was putting out in the world. It was my ideas, my content, my building my influence, and building the trust that I think is so important. So I did do all that work. I think I wouldn't look at any of it as something I would not do again. I would say that the piece I liked the least, honestly, was doing a TED Talk or a TEDx talk. I am not a girl who memorizes. I'm not a girl who ever does the same talk twice. And you have to, write the script. You have to turn it in. You have to do the exact talk. You have to do it in this, stand in this circle. None of this is me. I'm spontaneous. I'm interacting with the audience. I'm changing it up as I go, like seeing what people are. You can't do any of this on the TED stage. It was awful. So I would not do that again. But again, doing it, I learned a lot.
How do you get, and this might be interesting for coaches, how do you get on a TED stage? Do you apply? Do you pay? Is there a payment?
There's no payment. The good news is TEDx, you don't get on the TED stage very easily, but you get on the TEDx stage pretty easily. The TEDx events are everywhere. They're in high schools. They're in gymnasiums down the road from you. I mean, if you're living in the back of beyond, maybe not, but there's a ton of these events every year. So my advice to clients of mine is get to know whoever hosts it in your area. And I'm talking within 100 miles of you, or even 150 miles of you. Don't just stick with the one right down the street. You might need to go to 4 or 5. Second, figure out what their topic is. Often they have a particular theme for the year, and then make sure that you're pitching. So you have to write a pitch. Make sure you're pitching something that's going to nicely, neatly fit into their theme, not just some random topic that you came up with. And third, have some clips of you speaking so that they know that you are not going to get up there and make a fool of themselves and you.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So this is all interesting. Right now, in thinking about the goal of you continuing to do what you're doing, you said over time, now you've doubled down on coaching. You want to do coaching. Where do you see the challenges, or what is the challenge you're trying to solve for next?
I think the good news about being at this stage of my career, there isn't really that many challenges left that are about my business side, because I've been doing this a long time, like 15 years doing this business, and I don't need to conquer the world anymore. I'm kind of at the other end of my career. So I don't think about it as challenges. What I really am enjoying is the other side of it, which is what can I offer to other people? How can I give back? So that, that room of 12 people that I mentioned, I'm coaching several of them. In fact, one of them I started this morning coaching him on a TEDx talk that he's doing. So I want to give back. I'm at that stage of my career, and I think I've always been this person and always done this, but I'm kind of doubling down on what kind of time can I spend helping others get that LinkedIn learning course or get that book done or whatever it is. A, because I know how important it is, but B, because I think it's fun to offer that wisdom to the next group and help them get through whatever might be holding them back.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you, Denise. Thank you so much for coming to our show. And I only have one final question is think about other coaches on this one, coaches who are thinking of scaling their impact. What advice would you give to these coaches?
When I was writing my book was really about this journey from leader to thought leader. And I shared my own journey as what I call an accidental thought leader. I had this nonprofit, which gave me this beautiful opportunity to be out speaking about a cause that I cared about. And a lot of the things that I talk about in the book were things that I experienced, but there came a section of the book that I realized I was just not good at. And that's the section that I called Codify Your Lessons Learned. So what I mean by that is that most of us are not really very good at creating the framework, setting out the how to do something hard. And yet, the only way that people can build on and learn from what we do is when we do create the manual or write the book or create the visual framework. So because it's not been my skill set, one of the things, writing the book was I went out and interviewed a whole bunch of people who are way better at it than I was. But secondly, I hired people who could help me to do it for my own book. Like, how am I thinking about this as a process? And I think all coaches need to have other coaches. And so for me, that is the differentiation. I say that's the main differentiator between leaders and thought leaders is that you can codify what you know in a way that others can pick it up and carry it forward. And that to me is what coaches should be doing too. Do you have a methodology? Do you have an approach or a system or a point of view or a perspective that others can pick up and learn from and have that kind of transformation that you, instead of just talking about it, how can you codify the transformation that you're helping your clients do and put that out there in the world? Get out there and talk about it. Write your book, whatever it might be. Do some YouTube videos, but that's the differentiator right there. And that it takes work and you might need some help, but that is going to transform your business.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Denise. Thank you for the amazing advice. And thank you for coming to our show. For anyone who wants to connect with you or reach out to you, they can go into LinkedIn and look up Denise Brosseau. They'll be able to find your profile and they can contact you from there. There's also, if I'm not mistaken, the website.
Thought Leadership
Is there a website? Yes. Thoughtleadershiplab.com. We'll put that also in our description so people can find it easily. Let me know, Denise, if there's any other place people can find you?
I think those are the best
are those
places.
The two best ways?
A lot of my content. Of course, my book, Ready to Be a Thought Leader, is on Amazon and everywhere else. Thanks for including me, Rexhen. It was great to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Denise.
That's it for this episode of Career Coaching Secrets. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this episode to catch future episodes. This podcast was brought to you by Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, or even $100,000 weeks, all without burning out and making sure that you're making the impact and having the life that you want. To learn more about our community and how we can help you, visit joinpurplecircle.com.